Before we get started, just a quick note, spoiler alert.
And we are adults, and I will try very hard not to use adult language, but this is the warning. Then yes, I am ready for Give or Hell.
Oh my gosh, I'm not ready.
Yeah, well, I'm as ready as I'll ever be. It's not going to go well either way.
Hello, and welcome back to Fright Bites. My name is Jennifer.
And I'm Serena. Each episode, we will feature a short story or novella. You can read along with us by finding the full reading list posted on our website, lastlibraryontheleft.com, or our social media at LLOTL Podcast.
And today's story is Give or Hell by Donald A. Wollheim. And it was printed in 1969 by the author himself, Donald Wollheim.
Oh, nice. Another one.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, trigger warning, because I need to say it, for lots of abuse, unapologetic abuse. And yeah, so the summary is that we're getting a story from the viewpoint of an abusive male. And that's all I need to tell you. And I'll let you, with your angry emojis, go ahead and take the floor.
Okay, y'all, get ready. Also, if I don't bleep out every time I get mad, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try my best, but
yeah,
this is also the warning. You know what? You'll get that warning in the beginning. It's fine. Okay, so I read this when I was, once again, in fourth grade. Y'all know the story. I picked up this anthology when I was in fourth grade from a garage sale. And when I first read it, it scared the bejesus out of me. The idea of this abusive system and da-da-da thing. And I remember sitting on the floor, and I told you guys, I sat there and I remember thinking, this is the story that I need to remember for the rest of my life, because something about this story is important. I told you guys about that in episode 19. This is the story. So rereading it for the first time in 25 years, which, by the way, when I did that math the other day, I was like, oh, but why is that so painful?
That is so painful. Why did you have to say it? Like,
maybe that was part of the reason why I got so mad. But y'all, I got so mad. I was not scared. I was mad. All of my notes are just, fuck that guy. It's because now, looking back at this story, okay, there has to be a textbook out there that's just how to victim shame the people you abuse.
Yeah.
Because this shit reads verbatim from the threats from my brother, the threats that a friend of ours shared recently from her ex. I mean, this stuff is, the abusers use the same language.
Yeah, because they're not smart.
They're not smart, but they're abusers. And that's what they do. They get away with it for so long. Why change the message? Because we don't talk about the abuse, so they're allowed to keep abusing.
Well, also, not only that we don't talk about the abuse, when we try to talk about it, we're not believed or we're dead. I mean, let's be honest, coming from an Indian background, women are really nothing. You are born to be in servitude of your family until they exchange you for another family for a dowry. From there, you're in servitude to that family. And if he dies, you're expected to go in the fire with him. And if not, you're going to go into a house with other widows. I mean, whatever.
I mean, the way this story even starts off is he is trying to convince you right off the bat that he is the victim here, to the point where he even says, I don't care what the devil says. Everyone else is to blame for my situation. I didn't deserve this. I'm right. And I was like, whew, okay, just breathe. Just breathe.
Oh gosh, like I'm getting so mad. I am getting so mad.
Because all I could see was, I'm a narcissistic shithead. That's all that says to me.
Yeah, and he's so unsympathetic.
He's unapologetic. At first, you're like, yes, the devil is a liar. We know that. But the way he spoke, and maybe that's what scared me when I was little, because these were the first time I was coming into contact with these exact phrases and this type of thinking.
Yeah.
But now that I've had plenty of exposure to people like this, reading it just made me mad.
Yeah.
This guy.
Yeah.
He goes on to talk about how it's his daughter's fault that he's in a bad situation, because he had to beat her for staying out past 8. He had to beat her for mixing with the uncouth kids from the other side of the tracks. He had to beat the mother for taking the daughter's side. I was like, this man is a he-man woman hater, and he better shut the fuck up. I was so mad.
Oh my God, yes. When he said women only know one master, I was like, who in the, let me, oh my gosh. I'm by no means a man hater, but man, man, I hated him and I wanted to beat the crap out of him.
Yeah. I think the part that I was most devastated by, and I don't know why I didn't remember this, but it terrified me the most now reading it. But as he's trying to justify the way that he treats his wife and the way he's raising his daughter and all of the ways he believes he's right, one of his defenses is, I treat my household the way that I learned from my father, who also treated his household this way. And he was like, and my mother didn't say anything after he pushed her down the stairs and she was dying. And I was like, what? He was like, my mother accepted her place. And I was like, because she was dying. She couldn't. Y'all, I was sitting at my desk and I was like shaking the book and like had to put it down every 2 sentences and just like do something else. I timed it because I realized it was taking me a while. Also, we were about to close, the branch was closing. So I was like, okay, I have to finish this. It took me over an hour to read 3 pages.
Because it is so bad. Oh my gosh. So, okay, I read this story back in March when I had a medical procedure and I was literally waiting to go into the operating room. And I read this and I was like, no, no, no. Because I think it starts off on a half page. And I read the half page and I was like, yeah, that's a no. Because I had just finished reading the ant story. And so I was like, let's close the book. Let's close the book. And so I closed it. I gave it to my mom and I was like, you can take this like in the car if you want. Like, I'm not reading shit out of this. And I just went through on my phone and picked out something else from Libby. So I get that why it took you so long. Even knowing you've already read it, it took you that long.
Yeah, I think maybe it was bad timing as far as reliving the trauma in episode 19 and then like coming, like I probably should have seen this coming. My reaction. But I mean, and then there were parts, so his daughter runs away and his wife basically is like, well, like, what did you expect? So he beat his wife so hard she couldn't stand. And he's chummy with the cops. So the cops bring back the daughter and it's like, really, did you not see the condition the wife was in? Do you just not care? And then it made me think about abusers like this who are friends with the local police authorities. The local police authorities let them get away with whatever. It just
yeah, it screams of that, of the bro code that these guys have, because he's a businessman and from what I gather he's a well-off businessman, and I say well-off to mean that he's very well connected, and so he's probably done some favors for these cops who are also crooked, I'm assuming at this point, because the way he was talking about her was like, she doesn't know that I have the connections and I found her, had them bring her back. Just throw up in my mouth. Gross.
Yep. And then he sends his daughter to a correctional institution, but then pays the institution to torture her in order to make her more docile. Well, when his wife finally escapes, his wife goes to his business partner, and his business partner, it sounds like maybe he was already prepping cases against him for being crooked or abusive, because then this is where he really starts to turn on the I'm the true victim here, because he was working behind my back against me with my wife. They were having an affair, which there's no proof of that.
Nope.
He's mad that everybody's outmaneuvering him. That's what he's mad about. So he's like, you know what? Everybody can't outmaneuver me. I am going to go to Satan, because Satan was malaligned. He also was in the right, and God was just mad at him and threw him into hell because God had a tantrum, and Satan was the real victim here. And I was like, okay, but no, stop. And then I think the other part that upset me too is that this man had the actual balls to think that he could out devil the devil.
Yeah, that's what I loved. He was so confident in his arrogance and narcissistic ways that he was like, yeah, I'm going to make a play with the devil and he's going to do my dirty work and I'm going to be reincarnated regardless. Yeah.
Right.
I have to die. That's fine.
And the thing too is that he was like, the reason why the devil and I are going to be such good friends is because the devil gets it. You live as an iron hand in a velvet glove. And I was like, what?
Yeah. I love how he tried to play Satan.
That's my favorite. Funny. I love Faustian stories.
Yeah, those are fun. So also trigger warning, because he sacrifices the cat to the devil.
Yeah, I did leave that out of my notes because I didn't want to talk about it.
I'm not talking about it. I'm just giving you the trigger warning.
He prayed to the devil and then did that. And so let's also talk about how he was like, oh, the devil was malaligned and we're like basically besties. And then when he came, he was like, but also he smells like shit. I'm just like,
He's looking down on the devil, y'all. Like
Right.
he's not afraid. I'm sorry.
Before he even asked his favor.
I'm sorry. Even if the guy who plays Lucifer on the Netflix show came to me, I'd still be a little afraid. And he's very fine.
The devil, y'all, it was so he's like, all right, I want everyone who's made my life this shitty to suffer. And the devil was like, all right, cool, but I want your soul. And he was like, okay, but you can only have it after I die, and I want to be reincarnated. And the devil was like, all right, let me think about this. So the business partner dies, his house goes up in flames, and the wife is caught out, and everybody creates a scandal about her cheating on him and da-da-da. So like the scandal ensures that she returns to the house to be abused and worse.
Yeah.
And his daughter is now stuck at this correctional facility for the rest of her life and being tortured and da-da-da. The guy is dying now, and he's got throat cancer, and he's like, I bet it was because of those noxious fumes of the devil, because he smells like shit. And I was like, I mean, you're probably not wrong. How are you going to sit here and talk so much smack about the devil? What? And then the devil comes up and he's like, all right, cool. So this is the deal. I can't do reincarnation because like that's not my bag. That's above me.
Yeah.
He's like, but what I can do is that I can cycle you through another life that's already been lived. You'll go through life, but it won't be yours. But also it has to be somebody that's blood related to you. And I was like, yo, these new rules the devil brings to the deal are so suspect.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, it's about soul polarity and evening out universe and da-da-da. And I was like, that's a bunch of horse shit, and I love it.
I found this little sentence, and it was from mporcius.blogspot.com, and I'm gonna read it because it was so funny. It says, Satan follows through on the deal, but crafty old Scratch pulls the old switcheroo. Because it was so funny how this happened. And I was like, that's a perfect way to describe it. Crafty old Satan.
Yes. And like, how did this bro not see this coming? Because like, that's literally every story out there. Like, and then he was like, you know what? I take it all back. The devil is not my bro, because now I have to go through this and it's terrible. And like, now the devil's also on my shit list. And I was like, bro, y'all, the devil gave him his eternal life, but he now is trapped in his daughter's body, and he's living through all of the abuse and trauma he put his daughter through for eternity. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. All right, devil.
I love that. When he's like, oh shit, I'm being reborn as my daughter. I was like, yeah, you are.
It was so good.
It was really, really good. I really thoroughly enjoyed the last paragraph. The rest of it was very hard to read. And I put on here that for me, consuming horror on screen versus in literature, sometimes it's so much easier for me to consume horror on screen just because the fast forward button is there. And I've said it before, my imagination, it works very well. That's all I can say. I know what not to feed it because I'll have dreams about stories like this now that I've read it. And with the movie, that's what they're giving me, right? Like they're giving me that, so they're not giving me that bad. And this was just so hard to read, but so good. Read it, take as long as you need to read it. Enjoy the last paragraph because it's so funny.
The payoff is well worth it because yes, the trauma to get there was very, very real. And in reading it again for the first time since all of that, I was just, I mean, you could ask Caroline. I would put down the book and I would look at her and be like, we need to talk. And like, I would just like talk because I couldn't do it. And then I'd be like, all right, I'm going to read it. And then I'd pick it up. And within 2 minutes, I'd be like, all right, we have to talk.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
And this reminds me of that trope that's common in horror where you're watching it or you're reading it, you're consuming it, and you feel that need for revenge that a specific character feels. And it talks about, I read it somewhere, and I think it was when we were doing Psychology of Why, where you're not sure if that feeling of wanting revenge is good or bad. Like, you know, we're talking about good or bad. So when I was reading it, I was thinking about I want revenge for these people so bad. And when it paid off, I was like, that was cathartic.
Not even about being good or bad. Abusers are going to read this story and side with the abuser.
Yeah.
Because they all drink from the same crazy fountain. And people that have either been abused or are at the very least not abusers themselves will read this story and they'll get that payoff at the end and have the same like sigh of relief you did, you know?
Yeah, because man, it really paid. I was like, oh wow, I'm glad it ended that way, because if it ended somewhere else, I couldn't deal with it. You know, listen, there are horrors just where it ends bad. You get nothing but bad the whole book. And then the very end is like, you thought that was bad. Well, guess what's about to happen? It's going to get even worse. So that's what I fully expected. And thank God it wasn't. I was like, oh gosh, thanks, devil, for like doing your job properly, I guess.
Yeah, the way that the devil was like, he really let him think that he had the upper hand was another part I really liked about it, because there was a few sentences where he was like, oh, and I got him and I locked him into a loophole. I out deviled the devil, and he was so mad. And I was like, but was he, or was he putting on a show for you?
Right. Yeah.
Dumb little shit.
Yeah. like why do you think the devil like agreed to that deal? Like he could easily have said no, right? Like,
right.
come
he was
on.
gonna get your soul either way. You were definitely going to hell.
Like, yeah. Like I think the devil knew that they were getting his soul regardless.
Right.
So
now he just gets your soul and he gets to torture you for eternity. Like, this is, the devil was gonna out devil you either way. Like, there's just, that's the Faustian pact in a nutshell, right?
Yeah. It just was so funny. I was just like,
good.
It was so good. No, yes, it was so good. It was just so hard too. Like I just don't want to take away from the hardness of it. I love the take on karma and reincarnation, because when he mentioned reincarnation, I was like, well, I know that the belief of reincarnation is not common, and
it's definitely not a Christian value, which if you're dealing with the devil and God, you assume it's a Christian value.
Yeah, because I was like, like he's summoning Satan and he's mentioning reincarnation. That doesn't seem right. I was like, that's a little bit of a plot hole, but I'll go with it anyways because like we don't believe in heaven and hell. We definitely believe in reincarnation. So I was just like, okay, whatever. But I liked the take on karma. I'm a firm believer of karma. I've witnessed it myself. So I really enjoyed the fact that this guy was, until the very end, very confident. And I'd love to see that fall.
Me too. That relief and that closure to see the narcissistic abuser go, I mean, to the very end. He was a narcissistic abuser. He was the victim in everything according to him. And to see him get his comeuppance was like so cathartic.
It was so good. It released a lot of stress that had built up because of the paragraphs before it.
Yes.
Because I was stressed the fuck out.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites out of the entire book. I've read it twice now. I'm not sure I'll ever read it again though.
Yeah, I read it the one time. I did not read it again for notes. Sometimes what I like to do is I like to like take pictures of pages or write down like, okay, you're gonna have to go back and talk about this. And this one was like, nah, I'm just gonna no.
That's fair.
But it was so good.
I really hope that y'all give it at least one go through. I totally understand if you can't, because it really is very difficult to get to the payoff. But man, that payoff though.
You almost need a cigarette at the end. Like that's how much of a stress reliever it is. Just say it. And I don't smoke. Smoking is bad. I'm just saying that's the kind of thing you would most likely do after a payoff like that. Alrighty, so we hope y'all enjoyed it.
Yeah, I do.
I think this is the last of our short stories in that anthology. Definitely pick it up. 1010 would recommend, because I think there are some really good ones in there. For the most part.
I think it's a good anthology.
Alrighty. See y'all tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
If you liked listening to us ramble on about horror, subscribe to our podcast and tell your friends. And if you would like to follow us on social media, you can find us on Instagram or Facebook at LLOTL Podcast. Check out our website by going to lastlibraryonTheLeft.com. Be sure to visit our About Us page to discover our 2 truths and a lie. Or, if you'd like to send us an email, you can reach us at somethingwicked@lastlibraryonTheLeft.com.